Hey, no matter what, no matter who you are, no matter what you do, you influence people. Welcome to the Superpilotish channel. My name's Graham Wilson, and today I'm going to do a little bit of kind of a little memorial, I guess, in my basement. Yeah, so I was, as you get a little bit older, people start dying on you. It's kind of one of those things. You start Googling up, oh, what's that teacher up to now that I had back in high school? Oh, he died 10 years ago. What about that one? Oh, he's dead too. What about that guy I worked with? Ooh, yeah. Ooh, bad news there. So it's just, it's part of life is getting older and, the part of life is life ending. But so, anyways, there was this guy I used to work with. His name was Charlie Lockhart. And it was like, I worked with him, I guess it would probably be about 1999, 2000, maybe, right around there, 99, 2000. And yeah, and then so it's like I worked at this one machine shop with him, and it was like, it was like this guy well, what he used to do is he was the delivery driver, and he'd go, say we finished up a little job and he'd go deliver it to a customer, or sometimes he'd be maybe the customer's in the States and you go drive over into Detroit and go over there, pick something up. He was just driving around. The shop had I guess it was like a little minivan, and he'd go booting around in that. And then he would, when he had time, he would, take out the garbage and stuff like that. But this guy had just an amazing way of, like, he was so good with people, like just the most likable guy. Like, it's just the way he was. And he just had this little job, and he just kind of lived by himself in a little apartment, and he actually drank a lot. So didn't have a car, took the bus to work. And yeah, but he was really good with people and everything. And it was one of the things that I thought really interesting with him. Every once in a while after work, there'd be a gang of us, and we go for beers at, usually we'd hop in someone's car and they'd go drop off Charlie down on Erie Street here in Windsor. And he's like, hey, why don't you come over to the Polish Club? And we're like, what? Where's that? He's like, oh, it's stumbling distance from his house. And it's not there anymore, but it was the Polish Veterans Association. Now, Charlie wasn't Polish, but he knew where there was cheap beer and cheap shots of whiskey. So, anyways, a few times we were over there, and we'd be, probably still in our work clothes pretty much, and just having a few pops after work. And Charlie'd be like, hey, did you guys hear, but this is going on? And Charlie knew absolutely everything that was going on in that shop. And if you think about it, that guy that goes around and cleans up everybody's machine, takes out the garbage in the offices, goes to all the customers and picks up orders and stuff for new jobs. Like, this guy knew everything that was going on in that shop. And it also went on to, it's like, oh yeah, and did you know over at this shop this is going on? This one guy, he just knew everything that was going on in that shop and other shops too. And then, like, even on the bar scene, because he would be he didn't just go to the Polish club. There used to be the Grand Hotel, which was, it's ripped down now. They called it the Grand Hotel. It was the Grand. But in Ontario, anyways, where I live, all the old bars, they call it the hotel. Going drinking down at the hotel. And so, anyways, at the Grand, he would meet all these other guys that were been around in the bar scene forever, and they know everything that's going on, like in like municipal politics. Like, he just like knew everything, and it was really an interesting guy to talk to. And yeah, just this really guy lived in this little apartment, drank his drank like crazy. And the thing is, another thing that was, he was so good with people, was that he was good with the ladies too. I mean, this guy was he had the nickname, we called him the Silver Fox. He just, like, he had hair, just imagine like a guy that looked like Elvis but like a little bit shorter, and a little bit thinner. And like this dude had like Elvis hair, except it was like gray, white gray kind of thing, because he was in his, I guess, probably late 50s I was working with Charlie. And this guy could just like, hey, honey, and girls would just, it's really funny. And yeah, the guy had just such a way. And so he was an interesting guy to talk to. And so after I stopped working at that shop, I went on to other things and went up north to Sault Ste. Marie to learn how to fly. But I always kept in touch with Charlie for like quite a few years after that. And then one thing leads to another. Life gets in the way of this and that. And I'd always call him up every once in a while just to see how he's doing. And so what was it? I left and he broke his hip. And of course, I asked him, I was like, all right, you fell down in the alley and broke your hip. How drunk were you? And he's like, that's the worst thing. I wasn't even drunk. So it's kind of funny it's funny when he broke his hip. But he's like, oh, yeah. Then I went to the hospital. Those girls were really nice. And then like they'd give me extra food and everything. And I'm like, this guy could just like, he breaks his hip and he's getting gourmet meals, but he used to get that too at the shop. It was that somehow, like, I don't think he ever ate except for at the shop. The rest of his food was liquid. He's a pretty skinny guy. But every day he'd get the girl in the office to bring him lunch. Like she'd make him lunch. So we're sitting there, we're eating this garbage, this garbage off the gut truck. It shows up. You have some stale coffee and like, oh, I got paid yesterday. I got a little extra money. Okay, I'll have a greasy banquet burger. And the company was called Metro Catering. So we're sitting here eating our greasy banquet burgers with little packets of ketchup and relish and stuff. And then someone's like, hey, Charlie, what do you got for lunch today? Oh, yeah, it looks like she made me veal parmesan. I got a nice salad there with a little thing of Italian dressing, I think. It's just like, come on, man. How do you do that? So it was, the guy, the Silver Fox, man, he was really good at the ladies. And eventually he started, so I moved out of town. I kept in touch with him. And it was funny, too, that one year I told him, I'll give you a call sometime before Christmas. And it was like, yeah, okay. Then it was like I didn't call him for a while. And it was like a couple years later. Hey, Charlie, it's Graham. Remember me? He says, yeah, you're that bastard that didn't call me before Christmas. And it was like 2 years before. I'm like, oh, okay. Sorry, Charlie. Yeah. Then I got caught up and he ended up retiring right around when he was 60. And then he ended up smooth talking his way into like there's an apartment building right down on the river here with a great view of Detroit. He managed to wrangle his way into like almost like the penthouse suite with a 2-bedroom apartment facing out on the river for like the rent was like something crazy like $300 a month, like because it was subsidized housing by the city. This guy could just like he was just like a nice guy and everybody helped him out. So and then I kind of lost touch with him. Well, actually, here we go. So this is how Charlie influenced me a bit, other than just being a really charismatic guy and pretty fun to hang around with. So when I first started dating my girlfriend up in Sudbury, I gave him a call just to kind of check in, and I said, yeah, I'm kind of seeing a girl now. And then he's like, oh, yeah, well, watch out. Now, this guy, like I said, he was quite the ladies' man. I mean, he's got kids all over town. That some know that he's the dad, some don't. And girls would just walk up to him. You're a good-looking guy. I want to have a kid. And he's like, I got no money for a kid. And the girl's like, oh, I don't care. So all right. So he goes and gets her pregnant. There's another one of my kids around, but I guess she got a bigger welfare check or something. But anyways, so I was talking to him about this girl I'm seeing, and he's like, Graham, she really likes you. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure she does. And he's like, no, she does. And I could tell. He's like, serious. I mean, the only way this is going to, and I'm on the phone with him, is like, the only way this is going to screw up is if you screw it up. So, but he was saying instead of screwing it up, it was a word started with like F, kind of a shop talk word that we try not to use on the superpilotish channel, but we'll say screw it up. So he says, it's like, she likes you so much, it's like you'd have to really screw up to lose this one. Don't screw it up. So I was like, oh, okay, Charlie. And then one thing led to another. I think moved back here. I called him once. He was still living in his high rise apartment with the fantastic view. And then I checked him out the other day, and I hadn't talked to him in years. I found out, best I could tell, is he died in 2016. And that was, you get older, the time flies by faster. So, anyways, so far, Charlie, I haven't screwed things up. Still together with the same girl, and Charlie was like, he really made the best out of things, all things considered. And that was one of the things when these girls were asking him to get knocked up. He's like, and I kind of told him, it was like, don't you, the kids should have parents and stuff. And Charlie, one day he told me, it's like, I never had no parents. And I was like, what? He said, yeah. So it turns out Charlie got put up for adoption and never got taken. And so he grew up in an orphanage until he was 16, and then they kicked him out and he started working. So he never had parents. So it's kind of weird. So but yeah, so you would think someone like that would have a really tough time, and I'm sure he had his problems, but he ended up doing okay. And but he didn't have any family at all. So I figured I'd do this little thing and say that no matter where you come from, who you are, you're going to influence people. Charlie influenced me by thinking a little differently about who you work with, and maybe you're making a little more money than the next person, or you might have more skills, but they might have something that they know that you don't. And some people might be really good with the chicks and tell you not to screw it up and help you out that way too. So yeah, so it's just the weekend's coming up here, and yeah, so just I guess the message today would be to no matter who you are, what you do, you end up influencing people, and you can do it for either in a good way or a bad way. And so try to do it in a good way, I guess. And then, so I don't know, I was thinking I was gonna treat this show as like a funeral, because I didn't go to his funeral. I didn't know what it was. I was gonna put on a suit and tie and stuff. And I know Charlie would be like, what are you doing that for? Just have a beer. So I'm gonna have a beer for Charlie here. Cheers, Charlie. Sorry I missed the funeral, but oh well. It's afternoon. What the heck? And the weekend's coming up. So it's pretty good. All right. So yeah, that's about it for today. Just a little, just kind of checking in here. And Dan and Wrench, thanks for showing up here. We're going to keep it kind of short. And yeah, so what day is today? Today is Friday. So I'm either having pizza or tacos usually on Friday. I think it's taco time tonight. And then, yeah, not really too much about flying or anything like that today, other than, if you are flying, you want to be influencing other people you fly with in a good way. So anyways, little shout out to Charlie, still thinking of the old guy. And that's about it. So we're going to shut her down here. I'll be back on Monday, because I do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern. And there we go. Just, I don't see a whole lot of questions there. Yeah, so we'll kind of shut her down. Looks like I'm starting my weekend. Cool. All right, and see you on Monday. So you guys have a great weekend. Thanks for watching. Bye.